Hey, what's up? Ryan here, and today we're going to give you kind of step number one on building an amazing new hire activation process. Look, I would say that onboarding and specifically new hire training is one of the most overlooked and most powerful tools to nail down. And no, I'm not talking about new hire paperwork. And no, I'm not talking about compliance. And no, it's not enough to say, hey, we told you, you signed the paper. All that stuff, go check your box and put it away. And now let's get down to the real work of how do we go about actually building this amazing, I call it negative 14 to 90 day program, meaning from the time that you accept the offer, I officially have permission to start talking to you. And from that time to the point at 90 days where you are, yay, you're crushing it, that process, if I script it out, if I nail it, if I get it perfect, it will leapfrog and propel those new hires into success in the organization. If I can just figure out a way to do that, and if I can figure out a way to do it in the right order and the right way, so I'm not flooding and overwhelming and drowning my new hires. So let's think about what most organizations do. What most organizations do, if we think about the roadmap of their hiring, they send out an offer letter, they check it off, and then they may follow up once or twice in between offer acceptance and the day the person starts, right? Very little scripted, deliberate follow-up, but there may be some interactions at that point. Now, on day one, they usually have orientation, and they just flood them. All kinds of information. Basically, you're a new hire here, and so you have nothing better to do that day, so we may as well start training you because the sooner we get you able to do something, the better it will be. The problem is we're trying to tell them everything all at once. It is just too much information. No human can learn that quickly and retain that much information, period. We as humans need time to think about it. We need time to assimilate it. We need time to use it. More importantly, our brains don't remember stuff that we don't need right now, especially if it's like, hey, I might not need that for a long time. So that's problem number one with the whole flooding idea. Problem number two is that in our rush to get them able to do stuff, we're trying to get them able to do everything. And whether that's a manager flooding them with training or giving them access to all the information about our company without any actual context behind it, it's just not a great thing. So here's what I would suggest you do, is I would suggest that you take this negative 14 to 90 and you build a roadmap. And this roadmap's going to include both overall, do they understand your company, your industry, the players in the industry, where we fit in the industry, how our products and services work, who we help, why we help them, how we help them. Do they understand that just from the product service offering standpoint, regardless of what their job is, even if they're an accountant or an HR person? Number two, do they actually understand our company culture and values of how do we go about providing this, right? What is our vision and our mission, and what is it that our goals are for the year, and how are we going about doing it, and what have we done in the past that worked, and what are we doing in the future, where are we going, and how does all of this show up in a daily work experience and a daily work life? Who will they be interacting with? What is the structure of the company? What is the kind of org chart? Where do they fit? Who do they interact with? Who are all these other people and names and faces? All that kind of stuff is important as they settle in to being part of our team. Now, the last one we'll take is company information as far as policies. Actually, it's not. It's the third. I'm going to give you a fourth. But we'll take the policies and procedures and say, what of these policies and procedures do they need to know and when? And with each of these pieces, right, our fourth one being job-specific content, right, each of those from our industry, industry, company, competitive landscape, product landscape, users, customers, are how does our company show up, culture, values, mission, vision, goals, that kind of stuff, are what are our policies and procedures, and then the final one, what is my job, and in my department, who do I interact with? We now have these four dynamics, and we're stretching them out from negative 14 to 90 days. Now, I'm not saying withhold information in the roadmap. You're going to give them access to all the information you want to give them access to. Number one, give them access. Number two, teach them how to get access to that. Number three, show them the right way to ask questions. But now we're going to take and we're going to actually create the roadmap or a calendar based off of all four of these dynamics of when we should be giving them information, right? when we should be proactively dropping into their email inbox something to read. And if it was me, it would be almost every day. It literally, it would be at least every other day. There would be some type of short email landing in their inbox with something to give them something to learn, 5 to 10 minutes max of more information. I still would do an orientation, 100%. And I would probably break it up and do reorientations at 30, 60, 90 days. If you really want to know the right way to do it with an orientation standpoint, do an initial orientation, tell them about 30, 60, 90-day meetings, bring them back in, give them more stuff that is now more relevant to them, answer the questions that they have, record all of those sessions. Yeah, it's 4 sessions instead of one long one, but it will actually be retained more. Now, once you've got that, that would mean that you need to roadmap and prioritize. What do you talk about on day 1, day 30, day 60, day 90, right? What things are important to talk about at that point? The primary one being, here's where you have access and how to get access, and these are how to ask questions. Now we take the last part and we actually drip out a series of emails. So if I take -14 to 90 and I was going to do an email every other day, let's say, that would be like 45, 48 emails. Yeah, it's a lot. You should use ChatGPT. ChatGPT would be great at this. It would create this engaging email. You might say, we don't have 48 things to tell them. Well, it takes the human brain like 7 times hearing something to remember it. So it doesn't have to be 48 new things. What you should be looking at is introducing a concept and then bringing up an example of it, and then giving more details about that concept for each thing as you spread it out. You don't want to flood them. You want it to be a drip. Drip, 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 drip. Now, again, this doesn't take the place of your LMS. It doesn't take the place of your manager training them. Those things still happen. And like I said, it doesn't take the place of your actual, your orientation meeting, those things. You're still going to have those. But the key is you want to roadmap it out so that you can actually give it to them and say, hey, here's the checklist. Here's what's going to be covered and when. Here are the things we believe you need to know and when we believe you need to know them. If they come up, that would actually be more valuable than an employee handbook. Would be a booklet that shows week by week by week, exactly what I'm going to learn on those 4 main areas so that my brain is ready for them to come. So that when a question comes up, I can look and go, oh, cool, I'm going to learn that next week. Oh, it's going to be answered at whatever point in time. And so this concept today, number 1, roadmap it out. Stretch it out, draw it out, and say, what are the things on those 4 core areas that they should be learning or understanding or hearing about each week? And so if you want to break it into weeks, that's a great way to do it. 90 days would be like 12 plus 2, like 14, 15 weeks. And so you could take a 14-week program there and say each week, I'm going to identify what we're going to teach them, what we're going to tell them about, what video we're going to point them to, what podcast we're going to point them to. Now, I get it. We still haven't talked about how do you actually create all this content. Don't worry. I will teach you how to do that. But the first part is just stretching that out and deciding what it is they need to learn. So thanks so much for listening today. Hey, go subscribe to the channel, throw a comment towards me. I'd love to hear your questions, feedback, ideas. Otherwise, we'll talk to you again soon.